It all began 3 years ago, when we, students at the Pachamama School in Quito in the Ecuadorian Andes, welcomed young people from the remote Achuar community of Huashirpas in the Amazon. We lost ourselves in the encounter. We felt as if we were far away from the city and above all, from everything that we knew before. It is true that we came from completely different ways of life, but little by little, we noticed that we have lots in common.
Limpio, sangrante, puro, y mi dolor bajo la noche negra entró en su corazón, y vamos juntos.
Pero es como hacer malabares normales, solo que tienes que girarlos. Siempre era lo
For 5 days, we worked together on an intercultural event for our parents and interested classmates. It was a very special kind of meeting, without any expectations and with open hearts in an intensive time together.
La globalización te cambia totalmente la mente, pero
Globalization has changed our perspectives, and you ask yourself, who am I? What can I do? We are part of the problem and part of the solution.
eres parte de la solución o del problema. Estamos aquí en medio de todo esto. Gracias.
Congeniamos bien, ellos nos
I think that
enseñaron
we
un poco de
harmonized really
su
well.
cultura,
Our guests showed us their culture, and we taught them aspects of our culture that we enjoyed doing. It was great.
The last morning, I could hardly hold back my tears. I felt like we had spent months together. I was gripped by a longing to return to real life that seemed so far away and strange to me at that moment. As we said goodbye, the girls took off their Amazon jewelry and put it on me while I was crying. I simply wanted to go into the rainforest with them. It must have something magical. The Ecuadorian Amazon region is one of the most biodiverse places on the planet. A magical and a mysterious location. After 2 years' preparation, our dream became a reality. We, the pupils from the capital Quito, should finally see our friends from the Amazon again. But the rainforest has its own rules and obstacles. From the outset, we face the forces of nature. The adventure had begun. After a day's journey from Quito in the Ecuadorian Andes, we eventually make it to the Pastaza River. With a further day's travel by canoe, we finally arrive in the Achuar village Huashirpas, close to the Peruvian border. On the bank of the Pastaza River, Hillon is waiting to pick us up with the community's canoe. Little by little, we penetrate deeper and deeper into the dense rainforest. Once in Huashirpas, we meet a community which had its first contact with missionaries from the Western world only 50 years ago. Our arrival opened our eyes to a completely unique world. The music and rhythm of the forest marked the beginning of a harmonious coexistence with nature. Hyun prepared everything well. Having put up our tents and lit the fire, we create the first intercultural group dedicated to the kitchen chores.
Una, dos, tres.
In the early morning of the first day, we realize that we have arrived deeply in the rainforest. During the first meeting, we hear chants and music that originate from here.
Bueno, mi nombre es Dana, estoy en el Pachamama y tengo 16 años. Gracias.
Mi nombre es Gabriel Itza, soy de esa comunidad, me estudio en octavo año de básica.
Yo soy Luke, vengo del colegio Pachamama, por si acaso soy ecuatoriano, sé que parezco gringo.
Yo me llamo María, tengo 15 años, soy de aquí mismo, yo estoy estudiando octavo año. Gracias.
Yo soy Analía, tengo 15 años y estoy en primero de bachillerato.
Es pero elaborado del hombre con que dice las lianas, ¿sí?
After mutually introducing ourselves, we plan the collective activities in the classroom and begin with something practical.
Sí, eso sí.
Making ceramics out of clay from the river is traditional women's work, whilst the men wave baskets.
No, genio, es con la parte mojada. Genial. Holy moly, guacamole. ¿Cómo era? Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy.
Más lianas.
Hyun has just been visited by her friend Yanua from Peru. Yanua is a member of the Amazon tribe of the Awajón. They can understand each other because the tribal languages belong to the same linguistic family. With a grater from the forest and huito fruit, they produce dyes for their hair.
Ah, con eso.
The juice from huito strengthens their hair and makes it shine in the sun. For women, it's a ritual in which they tell stories and legends. A first highlight of our trip is the meeting with the whole community, when gifts are exchanged and Yanua starts to sing a song in the Awajón language.
Kunku kunku hohoita, kunku kunku hohoita, duku hona bagatsuna yubami, kunku kunku hohoita, kunku kunku hohoita. Duku hona bagatsuna yubami.
Later, Llano reports on the catastrophic effects of the oil extraction in Peru and speaks of the great dangers in Huachipas. The first maps of the oil extraction plans from the government have reached the Achua region. It is a shock for the people in the forest. Women rise to speak. They are very worried about their children and their community.
Gobierno shamani ichurki shachuar weitse takunga chichamna shayamrut makaratsa nuna ubikia nuna nindimhe.
El petróleo, si fuera vida, se comiera.
If oil were life, we could eat it. But the forest, the nature, our ecosystem is our life. Here, we can still develop more sustainable projects and manage them as an Achua community.
The Peruvian border is only an hour away from Huachipas by canoe on the Pastaza River. Half an hour farther begins the oil extraction area of Plus Petrol. Nuevo Andoas is a port and active trading center. The population is a mix of indigenous people from the Quichua and Achua communities, plus mestizos who have moved here to conduct their business. 40 years of oil exploitation have left deep damage in the rainforest of Andoas. Free forest dealers have become cheap labor for Plus Petrol. Uncontrolled migration is increasingly leading to the loss of the cultural identity of the indigenous people. Severe environmental pollution is the sad reality for the entire region.
Mira, y esto es petróleo.
Look, this is oil. Unfortunately, our whole country is contaminated. The oil companies have done nothing about it. Everything is full of crude oil. More than 40 years ago, this oil leaked. The companies have never cleaned it up.
Of course, there are animals here. They are, however, not healthy. The same goes for the fruit. What evaporates in the air falls on them. The fruits are contaminated. The animals live on them. The forest floor is the same. Well, where does the contaminated water go? In the animals and in everything here.
Back in Huachipas. The dawn signals a new day. We are invited to drink guayusa tea. It is an early morning ritual to exchange and dream interpretation. An important component for the solidarity and spirituality among the Achua in the rainforest.
Les voy a contar sobre Iquiam. Como les decía, Iquiam es la
I would like to tell you about Iquiam today. Iquiam is the same as Pachamama and stands for our connection with nature. When I was 22 years old, I got up at dawn. My mother invited me to drink guayusa tea. It was the day that I decided to set up Iquiam, my own foundation in our village of Huachirpas.
De la Fundación Iquiam. Si estás preparado para liderar, la gente verá en tu rostro si estás
When you're ready
listo.
to lead, people can tell it by your face paint.
Pero también pintamos
There are also
pinturas para la
paintings for
guerra,
war and for work.
para el trabajo. Pues,
Now, for example, I am painting myself to meet with important people. Today, those are the students from the Pachamama school. This is how we express our appreciation for the people we welcome.
Y esto es dar como importancia a las personas que les vas a atender. Oh, kuka enya atmi uraka hyuta.
After drinking the Guayusa tea, an exciting day begins with lots of investigating and new discoveries. For their foundation, IKIAM, the residents have built a small village museum. They have just finished building it, and our visit marks the inauguration.
You are all invited here in the name of IKIAM. Whatever you would like to know, our doors and my heart are open. Our IKIAM house is there for you. Thank you for being part of this incredible initiative of unity between man and woman.
Después pueden probar la chicha, ¿no? De cada señora. Cada señora no tienen la misma fermentación.
We drink chicha here. The women first boil the cassava fruit and mash it. Chicha is fermented by their saliva.
Ayuda a fermentar la chicha.
If you hit it on this point, the air goes in here and out again there. It causes the sound to travel far into the distance.
Al lado de la
The women always have a small hammock for their baby next to the bed. It's good ventilation.
Fácilmente cuidar desde la cama. Un poquito más grande como este tamaño hacían para defensa.
Bigger lances like these help us to defend ourselves. With this, we can dig and sow more easily.
Not
only the oil companies, other projects also lead to nature being destroyed and our culture being lost. One alternative could be the call for the unity of a new generation, like I see it in you, young people, here, today.
The people don't care if you suffer. The people who have money don't care if you die either. They always want more and more money and are not afraid to oppress your lives. Your voices show us the reality in which you live. We have just got to know you. You could run campaigns with young people like us. They could help us spread your ideas and beliefs. Most of us have mobile phones or other types of media.
Of course, Facebook and the internet is another tool. But here our power lies in the community. If our community holds together, there is a power which cannot be broken. But the good thing about us indigenous people is that we have mutual targets and we work towards them together. Then we are solid as a rock and can fight.
Inside the museum, we can feel the soul of the materials and the texture of the forest. We can get to know the Achuar culture as an intimate relationship with nature. The Huachirpas residents have found strength through their new foundation IKIAM, and they consciously involve the women. For the Achuar women, IKIAM has become a place to consolidate their fears and dreams, skills and energy. IKIAM is a pioneer project which combines environmental protection and emancipation.
As a woman, I like the IKIAM Foundation because we are protecting our country and nature from pollution. There are many people who want to exploit the crude oil With the extraction comes the lumberjacks to chop down the trees. I have always fought to protect the Achua people's land. Nature and the forest are our life. In our culture, and in other tribal groups too, there are increasingly more young people who leave their communities. After 4 or 5 years in the city, they no longer want to wear the traditional clothing. Now we have the foundation, and we have to teach the young people to protect their culture, just like our grandparents taught us.
The whole village comes to say goodbye. The men welcome us in a traditional martial manner, and the women with their songs and dances.
I will follow the way of my parents, our ancestors and warriors. I want to leave my mark for the future generations to follow. The aim of the foundation is to defend the rights of nature and of the indigenous people. We're searching for equality for everyone: women, teenagers, children, and adults.
We are in a constant exchange with nature. Nature is our life. I invite all of you to come here to enjoy the Amazon and get to know our culture.
Estaba saltando este número, presentación de mandala. La idea es hacer una acción en conjunto y el símbolo que creemos va.
The idea is to carry out a mutual action. The symbol that we wish to illustrate is the Achuar crown, which is represented here by several cultures.
It's wonderful to be here and to spend time with you. Somehow, we have moved away from the city. We feel connected with nature. There is something very special in nature and being so close to it. And yes, I would like to thank everyone, because these projects overcome boundaries and barriers between different societies and cultures. Through these types of projects, we can achieve unity. Thank you to all of you.
Gracias a todos, Maquetay. Hemos compartido muchos conocimientos. Ustedes han sabido.
We have shared our knowledge with you and shown you our culture. Take what you have learned into your consciousness. Thank you.
Conciencias, muchas gracias.
Quizás tenemos esperanza para que en el futuro la vida de los pueblos de la Amazonía o de otros lugares incluso se mantenga.
Perhaps there is hope that in the future, the life of the communities in the Amazon and elsewhere will remain intact. We are addicted to human greed. We have to realize that. We have to recognize that life is not just out there, that the city is not the best, the only thing that there is. There is also a richness here that cannot be quantified. There are no categories in which we can evaluate the purity of air, the water, the soil, and the food.
Las personas que viven aquí en la naturaleza son las personas más ricas que pueden haber.
People like you, who live in nature, are the richest people there are. You are millionaires. You have everything that cannot be bought with money. One day we will be people who live in the city who have destroyed nature so badly that no money in the world can repair it. You have the biggest wealth, and I think that we should protect this treasure together. Thank you for inviting us.
The women from Huaxirpas have already begun a bee project and want to help improve the community's nutrition. In the future, they want to generate their own income. They have created a garden with medicinal herbs from the rainforest and want to sell their honey with healing properties later on. Like other Amazonian communities, Huaxirpas has developed alternative and innovative projects. Hiyon, as a woman of the new generation, leads these processes.
Y son como alternativas para seguir viviendo dentro del bosque y también seguir protegiendo el medio ambiente y su territorio.
That is an alternative for us to continue to live in the forest. We want to protect the environment and our country. It is therefore very important that our work becomes known and the world recognizes that we, indigenous people, have our own ideas in order to remain in our territories.
Unfortunately, the government in the capital, Quito, is not interested in the alternatives of the people from the rainforest. They ignore their suggestions and rely on the exploitation of the oil reserves in the Achuar and neighbor regions. Never before has an encounter been so different and so pure. It was an exchange at eye level with open hearts and a lot of time to share. On the journey back home, it is clear to all of us that we have experienced something really special. We have left our new brothers and sisters behind in the rainforest. And it's clear to all of us that we are no longer the same as we were when we started our journey. Six months later, we are presenting the cultural exchange project to our classmates who stayed at home. Hiyon has come and has brought the melody of the rainforest with her in the form of a song. She has opened new horizons and sensations to those who could not travel with us.
Today we sing when we have gatherings and confrontations are expected. Then we use our old chants. We are no longer going to war, but it still helps us to face difficult situations. We want to give the men strength to calmly resolve the conflict. We have a lot, actually too many things, but only a few of them are necessary, things that we really need.
At the Fridays for Future demonstration in Quito, it is clear to all of us that if we want to save the Amazon rainforest, we must fight for climate justice. We need a change in politics. A new politic which spreads the message that we cannot work against nature. We have to live in harmony with nature. Or our life on this earth will not be possible for the coming generations.